Welcome to Fairy Tale Access, where the head fairy's quest is to prove that fairy tales do exist in actual time, rather than once upon a time. Together, we will unravel the heroes, young and old, who turn dreams into reality. These are the people who still believe in happily ever after. The discoveries will bend even our most cynical non-believers into believing in fairy tales. Hello, welcome to Fairy Tale Access. Today, we're going to discover some interesting facts about Freemasonry and what it's really all about. Dr. Joseph Fort Newton once said, "The secret of Masonry, like the secret of life, can be known only by those who seek it, serve it, and live it. It cannot be uttered. It can only be felt and acted. It is, in fact, an open secret. And each man knows it according to his quest and capacity. Like all things worth knowing, no one can know it for another, and no man can know it alone." My guests today are Robert Porter, the current master of Rising Sun Lodge, and Joseph Beaumont, the past master of Rising Sun Lodge. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me today.
Our pleasure. Thank you very much for having us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. We're so excited to find out what the Masons do. So to start, can you tell me why you're called Masons?
Well, sure. Freemasonry takes its name from the operative stonemasons, and Freemasonry itself uses those working tools that they had, whether it was a level or a square, to teach lessons to build men and improve them in their lives and to improve the community. We don't do anything in the way of actual stonemasonry unless a member happens to also be an actual stonemason.
Okay. Well, what is Freemasonry?
Joe?
Well, you could say that we're called Freemasons because of the shall we say, the name of the organization. And in some states and in some jurisdictions, we're referred to as free and accepted Masons, or Freemasons, or just Masons. And in other jurisdictions, we are referred to as ancient free and accepted Masons. Both meaning the same, and how the differentiation came, I honestly can't tell you.
But the basis behind whatever you call us, it's a system of morality and ethics. Politics, race, religion don't fall into this. We treat all people the same. We have a belief that all men are created equal, deserving respect, love, relief, and charity. We're a volunteer association of men, and we try to live by our beliefs every day.
Wow. So you mentioned the word ancient. How old is Masonry?
Well, here in Nashua, it's been around since 1822. We're the oldest fraternal organization in the city. Going back, it has its roots back to 1717 when several lodges in England, in London, got together and created the Grand Lodge of England to try and make sure that things were being done consistently from lodge to lodge instead of running entirely independently. Because they started up and all of a sudden there were a number of lodges already in existence, it goes far back in time before then. The furthest back is into the early 15th or late 14th century with documentation of written things from a Masonic lodge. So it goes back before things were written down for the most part. So a lot of our history is lost or speculated on by people these days.
Oh. Well, if politics isn't a factor, what about all the presidents who have been Masons in the United States?
Well, we have a belief that you should be active in the community and actively involved and true to yourself. But our presidents, the 14 Masons were president of the United States, or 14 of our presidents happen to be Masons, however you want to look at that. But we've had Democrats, we've had Republicans. Whatever happens outside and being active and involved, we're looking more for inside the lodge room to set those things that make us different, political party and the rest, and say that stays outside the room. We focus on things that are the same to improve ourselves day to day. So as Masons, as an organization, we take no political stand. As individual Masons, each Mason we expect is going to be true to himself and his beliefs, and be active in the community, vote, all the rest.
Okay. Well, I'm aware that our first president, George Washington, was a Mason. And I also, in my research, I found that he laid the cornerstone for the White House.
Yes.
So what is the cornerstone ceremony about?
Within any building, the cornerstone is usually, and rules as far as I know, my research has shown me that the cornerstone is always placed in the northeast corner of a structure. And it is there that is the foundation and of where the building itself comes into place, and that cornerstone is also used symbolically within every Masonic lodge.
The ceremony itself, still done today, although we're not called upon to do very many cornerstone layings, is one to dedicate the building. Uses various items, corn, wine, and oil, as symbols of plenty, health, and peace, to dedicate the building, and hope that those are things that can be said about the building and what goes on in it from the time that it's erected.
Okay. And don't you have an interesting history associated with the White House?
It's
Cornerstone Lane?
It wasn't the White House, it was the Capitol building.
Oh, the Capitol
that
building.
My late wife's grandmother's uncle, who took the Bible from St. John's Lodge number 1 in New York City and transported it to Washington. And that was for the construction of the Capitol building. I was incorrect when I said the White House.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was the Capitol building.
The Capitol building. That's fantastic.
But even so, it's still an important edifice.
I'll bet it is. And what are some of the things that the Masons do locally?
Locally, we're involved in a number of different things, between donating money to various organizations, turkeys at Thanksgiving time to organizations to go to families in need. We collect jackets and the rest, food to the children's home, work with the Toll Street Mission as a couple of examples of those organizations that we help support. We'll do trash cleanup along the road. You may see a sign over in Hudson saying that we're responsible for making sure that that's clean. We are involved with the Children's Fairy Tale Festival tied to Summerfest, providing volunteers for that. We help with literacy with children in the schools with the Bikes for Books program. Every time that a child reads a book or reads a certain number of minutes, they have their name put in for the chance to win a bicycle at the end of a certain time frame. Just a couple of the different things that we end up doing here in town.
That's fantastic. Now, what other organizations are part of the Masons?
There are quite a few bodies. Probably the best known one that publicly is the Shriners, that every Shriner is a Mason, but not every Mason becomes a Shriner. Mm-hmm. And of course you're familiar with the hospital system that is supported by the Shrine. There are 22 hospitals throughout North America dedicated to research and actual remediation of orthopedic problems, spinal column injuries, and burns research. There are organizations for the youth, the International Rainbow for Girls. And for males, there's the Demolay Society. For adult women, there's also the Eastern Star. So, and then other bodies within that are probably, you could say, similar to the Shrine. There's bodies known as York Rite and Scottish Rite. Mm-hmm. Some of the principal works of Scottish Rite are the dyslexia learning centers, where we teach dyslexic children to read. The I Foundation is supported by York Rite. So there are many activities that if you want to, as a man, if you want to be involved, and you can be really as busy as you want to be. You can be out every night if you want. Mm-hmm. But some of us choose not to. We have better halves at home.
So, and with the Order of the Eastern Star, open to women, it's the largest fraternal organization open to men and women in the world. Freemasonry is pretty extensively found around the globe.
Well, so how many Masons do you think there are worldwide?
We just came across this the other night, actually within North America. But worldwide, the number, I believe, at the present time is in the 4 to 5 million.
Wow.
So, looking closer to home here in Nashua, there are 2 lodges or organizations that meet. Between the 2 of them, there are over 300 members. Throughout the state, about 6,000. So a little bit smaller than the millions that are around the country, but still active. And we're a cross-section of the community. You'll find people from all walks of life, from janitors and salespeople, business owners, you name it, you'll find a Mason that's done it.
Oh, so who are some of the people that have been Masons that I would know or our audience would know?
Well, you mentioned George Washington, some other folks, Bud Abbott of Abbott and Costello, Red Skelton, Gene Autry, John Wayne. Sporting world, you've got Cy Young, Ty Cobb were Masons, Buzz Aldrin, John Glenn, Douglas MacArthur, Harry Houdini, recently passed away, Ernest Borgnine, Arnold Palmer is a Mason. So as a quick little view of some folks.
What about other presidents that have been Masons?
So great question, and I think we put together a list so I'd remember them in there and make sure that I had that set. Andrew Jackson was a Mason. James Monroe, framer of the Constitution. James Buchanan, James Garfield, both Theodore Roosevelt and Franklin Roosevelt were Masons. Warren G. Harding, Harry Truman, most recently Gerald Ford were all Masons.
And how many of those were signers of the Declaration of Independence?
There are 9 that were Freemasons, but not all when they signed the Declaration of Independence. Some became Masons afterwards. At least that's what we can definitely say, including from New Hampshire, William Whipple, who was the signer from here.
Oh, very good.
And we also have the Constitution. There were 9 that we definitely know were Freemasons, including George Washington and Benjamin Franklin.
So even though you use a Bible in your cornerstone ceremonies because it's the Word of God, or is it just because it's the Word that people should follow?
That's a very interesting question. It's we believe that And one of the requirements to become a Mason is that you profess a belief in deity, because if you take an oath, and as you know, every time you swear in court, you are holding a Bible. Now, if you had no belief, if you didn't have a belief in a deity, none of those obligations would be binding upon you, or you wouldn't feel anything binding. So
religion doesn't matter as long as they believe in a higher being?
a deity.
That's
Yes,
it.
a higher being.
Freemasonry is based on the fact of us all being equal and all being, the children of one supreme being. Now, we mentioned the Bible, and that was what was used at the Capitol and such. But any volume of sacred law is going to have the same things in it. There are going to be differences, but we don't focus on differences. We look at the things that make us all the same. So if somebody wanted the Torah or the Tanakh or the Quran or the Vedas from other religions that are out there, we could have that just as well. But by and large, here in New Hampshire and here in Nashua, the majority of our folks would be looking at the Bible.
Okay. And how does a man become a Mason? Is there a criteria?
He has to ask.
He has to ask?
Yeah.
A man is never solicited, or should never be solicited. He has to ask. He has to be seeking light, wanting to know. And it sounds very simple, but I personally, it took me about almost 24 years to find out how to ask. But
Really?
once I asked, the process was very quick.
Yeah, the only requirements are you have to be at least 18 years old to become a member in New Hampshire. You have to be a resident of New Hampshire. If not, you can still join, but there are a couple of extra steps. You have to have a belief in a supreme being. If somebody asks about joining, they can receive a petition, submit that, then a vote is taken further down, and any vote would need to be unanimous to join. Again, we're looking at the things that make us the same to promote harmony between everybody in the lodge. If we had somebody that felt that that would be disrupted, then we don't ask why. We just require a unanimous vote for somebody to come in. After that, there are different steps involved to advancing to the different levels in Masonry, the 3 different degrees, but that's pretty much what it takes to join that, and the petition fee that's involved with it.
What about character traits? Is there anything that's important to have in your character to become a Mason?
Yeah, we talk about making good men better. I come from previously the hospitality industry, and I always said I could take somebody that was friendly and outgoing and get them to be able to be a desk clerk and work with the public. Taking somebody surly, I could probably get them just to be cantankerous, but you need certain traits. With Freemasonry, people that are decent, upright individuals that want to improve themselves are what we're involved with. Freemasonry is, to some degree, a personal journey. I heard somebody give the explanation that a year ago he walked the Appalachian Trail with 2 other people, and at the end of the day they sat down around the fire and talked about what they saw for the day. Walked the same path at the same time. All 3 of them were saying, I didn't see that. Oh, I didn't notice that. They had a different view of what they experienced for the day. Same with Freemasonry. I think it's a good analogy that we all have a personal journey that we're taking together. So we're looking for moving along with people that are headed in the same direction and going through our own experiences that way.
Great. So it sounds like a great way for somebody to be involved in their community and give back for everything that you receive in the community.
Most definitely. I can say it's probably one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done. It has taught me to, shall we say, just to be a lover of life. And when I say a lover of life, I mean this in its entirety, to appreciate and appreciate what I have.
Oh. Well, let's see. If you participate in the Fairy Tale Festival, you promote literacy, you help children around the world. So what I want to know is, what's your favorite book of all time that you've ever read?
My favorite book of all time. I have to think about that for a moment. First thing that popped into my head, A Tale of Two Cities, but I'm not sure quite why. The beginning of it, I rolled over and over and over again and said, why am I reading this? But then all of a sudden I just got caught up in it. It has its ups and downs and trials and tribulations, and in the end make it through, and thought-provoking. But I don't know if that was my favorite or not, but it certainly has a place if it popped into my head like that.
That's great. What would be the first book that you would think of?
I'd probably say The Seven Pillars of Wisdom by T.S. Eliot, which is, a very complex book that I think I actually had to read it almost 3 times. The third time was skimming through, but it just, it taught a lot. One area that I refer to the most is it was during a forced march environment where the author says that the weak envied the dead. Meaning that, wow, what was coming down the road was really a challenge. And some people didn't want to face it, or preferred not to. But that's...
Both thought-provoking books. Good choices. And I understand that you're going to be opening the doors of the Masonic Temple.
Yes, again.
Again.
October 20th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We're at 196 Main Street. The ground floor has Villa Bank at 194, and 200 Main Street is the Children's Dyslexia Center. We'll be opening up the doors, inviting people in to see the lodge room, ask questions, find out what Freemasonry is about. We keep being called a secret organization. We've got a couple of secrets, but based primarily on the old stonemason guilds. They probably don't have a whole lot of meaning, but we're an organization that promotes integrity in its members. And if you can keep a secret that really is inconsequential, then you're probably a man of your word. But besides those secrets that we wouldn't talk about, that you could probably find online somewhere amongst all the different things that are out there, will be a chance to take a look at the lodge room, be able to find out what we do, what we're involved in, and we're happy to have people in. And again, 9 to 3 on Saturday, the 20th of October. Statewide, all the lodges will be open and welcoming people. One of the organizations we mentioned, the Order of the Eastern Star, will be having its installation of officers that afternoon, so there will be a little bit of a hustle and bustle of things going on as well. But that'll be great for people to kind of get a feel for how extensive we are with people involved. And if people do choose to come down, they'd use the 200A Main Street entrance. and take the elevator on up to the 3rd floor, and happy to show people. And if they're not able to make it then, there is an office on the 2nd floor at 196 Main Street that's open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And the folks there are happy to go ahead and let people take a look when it's convenient to them, as long as it's during those hours. And if none of that works, call and we'll arrange a time that works to have somebody show you what we're about.
Great. Well, I have 3 of your websites on the lower thirds of the screen to help people. Is there a number in Nashua that they can call?
Absolutely. The number to the office is area code 603-882-4931. And again, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, unless we're showing somebody the lodge room, in which case you'll get a message, or if we're on the phone. But people can certainly call and ask for information.
And do people stop by ever during the day, during the week?
Oh, yes.
They do?
Yes. Recently, when I filled in the office that Bob and Wayne were away, I had a couple of people that actually came in, and I was pleased to show them the lodge room, the workings, and as a matter of fact, one of them has submitted a petition to join.
I'd say 3-4 times a month we have somebody coming in with a question. Most of the time in the office we're dealing with the members and such, but again, we're there and happy to answer whatever questions people have, dispel whatever myths they may have as well.
And there
Well,
are
it's certainly an interesting organization, though. And what about nationwide? Because my research showed that some of the other Masonic lodges across the nation were opening their doors as well on the 20th. So is there a main number if somebody wanted to get information about a lodge in their state, or how would they go about looking for one?
Best choice would be to end up going online and just look up Freemasons and put the state you're interested in. There is no national organization. Freemasonry is broken up into jurisdictions, so New Hampshire is one, Massachusetts is another. In Nashua, we're close to the border, but any lodges in Massachusetts are run under the Grand Lodge of Massachusetts. But each state could run that, and I know Massachusetts will be doing that. I believe Rhode Island as well, and I think one other of the New England states on the 20th will be open to let people in. North Carolina was looking at doing something a while ago, and I'm sure we'll be continuing. And but certainly just look for the Grand Lodge on a website and give them a call or send them an email. They'd be happy to give you the information about lodges in your area and whether there's an open house or who to talk to find out more.
Okay. And isn't there a Masonic lodge in Washington, D.C.?
There are a number of lodges in Washington, D.C.
Isn't there one large one?
There's the House of the Temple in D.C., which is for one of those organizations that was mentioned, Scottish Rite. Scottish Rite has 2 jurisdictions in the U.S., the northern and southern jurisdiction. The headquarters for the southern jurisdiction is in Washington, D.C. at the House of the Temple. And a beautiful building. Also down outside of Washington, D.C. in Alexandria is the George Washington Masonic Memorial. Not the same as the Washington Monument, but a large building that was built by the Freemasons to commemorate George Washington, who, as we've said, was a brother, and there are tours to the public that are there with a lot of things from Freemasonry, things from Washington's time, things from different fraternal organizations that we've mentioned that Washington wasn't a member of, but still to try to give people a full picture about Freemasonry.
Is there anything that we haven't covered that you would like people to know about the Masons?
I think both Bob and I would say, geez, if you have a question, come and ask. We are so eager to dispel the myths. And as you can see, we can talk about Masonry at length and are proud to do so. Mm-hmm. So as you know, there are many myths that do exist, starting with the first thing, that we're a secret society. We're not a secret society. We're just a bunch of good guys.
I know.
Nice guys.
It's true. As the head fairy, I have to say that without the Masons at the Fairy Tale Festival, it would be very chaotic. They really helped to keep everything moving smoothly, and they've even dressed up for me in some years. So they really make Children's Days all the way around, and I want to thank you both so much for being here. And I have to agree with Mark Twain, because in ending this interview, Mark Twain said, really great people, like you, make you feel that you too can become great. So until next time, I hope you all keep asking questions, visit the Masons, find out what they're all about, and dispel the myths. You don't know until you ask. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.